Good morning, everyone. I'm Dinesh. I'm from the Department of PSC, and I welcome you all to the next topic on the subject of web technologies. Till now, we have seen about HTML in the unit number 1, and in unit number 2, we have covered JavaScript. Until now, unit number 3, we are going to mainly concentrate on XML. So under XML, we are going to see the introduction really regarding XML in a couple of classes, and then we move to XML DTTs and then XML schemas, and after the completion of XML DTTs and schemas, we concentrate on DOM, which means document object model, and then we move to the XSLT, and then we cover Ajax. So mainly there are 5 to 6 topics under this unit, right? The first one is introduction to XML. The second one is DTDs, document type definitions. Third one is XML schemas. Fourth one is DOM, document object model. Fifth one is XSLT, extensible style sheet. And the sixth one is Ajax, right? So total there are only 6 topics in this, and they are very easy when you learn and when you practice. They are very easy, but if you don't practice and if you don't learn the concepts, they will be very difficult, right? I hope you all enjoy this XML, so which was a very new topic to all the people. So almost some of the people have concentrated on HTML in the previous semesters, but nobody concentrated on this XML, I hope, right? So it will be very interesting when you follow, right? So let us start the things. So let us start the things by seeing the full form of XML. So the full form of XML is extensible markup language. So XML is a extensible markup language, right? We know HTML, hypertext markup language, but here XML is an extensible markup language. So we have some extensions, right? So let us see the remaining topics under this introduction. The second one is, it is used for storing and transferring data. Right, this XML language is mainly used to store the data, and it is used to transfer the data, right? Next one. So XML is different from HTML. So we have already seen HTML in unit number 1. So HTML mainly focuses on the displaying of data over the web page. So how to display the data over the web page, how beautifully we can display the data over the web page is taken care by HTML. So it mainly focuses on how the data looks over the web page. But XML is quite different from HTML. Here, XML mainly focuses on data, right? And HTML focuses on how the data is on the web page, right? Next one. So XML is a simple document with the data which can be used to store and transfer the data between any systems irrespective of their hardware and software compatibilities. So when we are working on the real-time projects, so there may be a lot of systems and lot of different softwares are used by many of the people. So here, if you are working on XML means without any complexities, right? Without any complexities, irrespective of the hardware and irrespective of the software, our program will work on any of the systems which are having the different combinations of hardware and software, right? So here, an XML document is a simple document which contains some data, right? And the data can be stored and we can transfer the data between any systems. There is no boundary for this one. there is no certain restriction that we can only transfer the data between certain systems which are having some configuration. There is no restriction. So we can transfer the data or we can store the data in any type of, any combination of hardware and software, right? So XML is a simple document which is used to store the data and which is used to transfer the data between any type of hardware and software combination of systems, right? So let us move to the next one. So it is a recommendation of W3C. So World Wide Web Consortium. So W3C stands for World Wide Web Consortium. It is the main international standards organization for the World Wide Web, and it was founded in 1994 and currently led by Tim Berners-Lee. The consortium is made up of member organizations that maintain certain standards, right? So don't go depth into the W3C. So W3C stands for World Wide Web Consortium, and it is an international standard organization of World Wide Web, right? So XML is recommended by such W3C consortium, right? Next one. So it was the year when this XML was released. So this XML was released in late 90s, and the reason for creating this XML is that it was created to provide an easy to use and store some self-describing data. So if some people may have their own data, right, and they want to create or they want to store or they want to transfer their own data. So this XML is mainly used to store or transfer some self-describing data. So I will show how we can store some self-describing data in the later classes, right? So keep the point in your mind. It was created to provide an easy to use and store some self-describing data. And next one, XML is a platform independent and language independent. So platform independent in the sense we all are very familiar, right? Platform independent in the sense there is no dependency with the software, with the operating system, right? So some people may use Windows, or some people may use Linux, or some other may use Ubuntu operating systems. Although what the software or the operating system may be, so this XML will work in any of the operating systems, right? That's why this XML is called as platform independent and language independent in the sense, so we can use this XML along with HTML, along with DHTML, or along with CSS, along with JavaScript, etc. So that's why this XML is a platform independent and language independent. Next one. So XML tags are not predefined. You must define your own tags. Very, very important one. So while working with HTML, we all have some basic tags. For example, while working with HTML, we have some tags from H1 to H6, which will define some headings with different sizes. Or if we want to move the text on the screen, we use marquee tag. If you want to create a table, we use table tag. Or if you want to bold something, we use a B tag, which is used to bold the text on the web page. So while working with HTML, there are some tags which are predefined by the program, predefined by the markup language. So HTML itself provides some tags, and by making the use of those tags, we will work on displaying the data over the web page. But here, the thing is quite opposite. There are no predefined tags. While working with XML, there are no predefined tags, right? So you have to define your own tag. So if you write one tag, one opening tag and one closing tag, that itself is a tag in XML. So while we are working with the predefined tag, we need to remember each and everything. We need to remember what is the name of the tag, right? and what is the purpose of the tag and why we are using the tag in order to display the data over the web page. But here XML do not have any predefined tags, so there is no need to remember, so there is no need to waste our brain memory, right? So XML do not have any predefined tags, and the thing is that we have to define our own tags, right? So I will show how to define our own tags in the later examples, don't worry. Next one, coming to the next slide, there are some features. The following are some features, and at the same time these are the advantages of XML. First one, XML separates data from HTML. So by writing the XML documents, we can separate the data. So HTML mainly concentrate on displaying the data, right? So here the data can be separated by using this XML from HTML. Next one, XML simplifies data sharing, right? So in a very simple way, we can share our data by using XML. Next one, XML simplifies data transport. Point 2 and point 3 are almost similar. And next one, XML simplifies platform change. So we have studied in the previous slide that XML is a platform independent and language independent, right? So platform independent in the sense, whatever the operating system may be, this XML is going to be work. So XML simplifies the platform change. So if you are writing an XML document on a Windows operating system, and if you are trying to send the XML document to other operating system, there is no need to bother. It will definitely work in any other operating system also, right? So that's why XML simplifies the platform change. Next one, XML increases the data availability, right? So we mainly use this XML in order to store and transfer the data irrespective of the combination of hardware and software, right? So the data availability is more, right? The data availability will be increased by using this XML. But please remember all these points, right? Next one. Here, the table shows some differences between HTML, I'm sorry, HTML and XML, right? First one. So these are the differences, right? These are the differences. Uh, First one, HTML focuses on how the data looks. As we discussed earlier, HTML is mainly focusing on the displaying the data, and XML is mainly focusing on storing and transferring the data, right? So here on the side of XML, the first difference, XML focuses on data rather than how it looks. So XML do not bother about the look of the data over the web page. It only take care of how the data is stored, right? And then, so while writing a HTML code, right, while writing HTML code, we saw that we can use capital letters in place of small letters and small letters in place of capital letters. That is, the HTML language is not a case sensitive language. HTML is not a case sensitive. So we have used some tags, right? For example, I will show one thing here. Just a second. See here, HTML, right? So I have used the capital letters, body, and then H1, good morning, right? Good morning, and I have closed this H1 tag, and then I have closed this body tag, and then I have closed this HTML tag, right? I am saving this code. So if you see here, if I open this one, second. Let's save the code, save as 2.html, right? So if you open the code, it will display the output good morning. So if you observe the code, we have used the capital HTML here, but we have closed the small HTML tag. So there is no difference in between the capital HTML and small HTML because this HTML programming language is a case-sensitive programming language. But while writing the XML code, we need to be very careful because XML is case-sensitive language. So as I said earlier, XML do not have predefined tags. XML do not have predefined tags. For example, if you have defined a tag, just a second. So in XML, if you have defined a tag, for example, my tag is book, right? My tag is book, and you have to close this book tag, right? You have to close this book tag. So if you close this book tag like this, in the opening tag B is small, and in the closing tag B is capital. So it because of XML is case sensitive, so this will be shown as an error in the output of the program, right? So you need to be very careful. So if you want to uh, define a tag, either define it in small case or define it in capital case, and you need to close the same tag. So XML is case sensitive language, and then HTML is mainly concentrated with the presentation of data. So this is the point what we are discussing from the starting of the XML, and then XML is mainly used for storing and transporting data, right? So HTML concentrates on displaying the data, and XML concentrates on storing and transporting the data. And then HTML is static. So HTML is static. So it is only used to display something on the web page, right? But XML is dynamic because we are transferring the data between the systems. We are storing data in one system and we are going to transfer the data in different systems, right? So HTML is static and XML is dynamic. And one more, in HTML, the closing tag is optional. So we have some tags in HTML, which is called as break tag. For example, let us see the break tag. Just a second. So if I have a, for example, here I have a paragraph. Hello everyone, welcome to XML. Hello everyone, welcome to XML. And here I am writing the break tag. Right, I am writing the break tag, and I wish you all good luck, right? Good luck. Now I am closing this paragraph tag, right? I am saving the code. Just a second. Save as. I am saving the code at 3.html, right? So if I make a double click on this one, if you see here, hello everyone, welcome to XML. I wish you all good luck. So if you observe the output, so the code, hello everyone, welcome to XML, everything was written under the paragraph. But after XML, I have used the BR tag, which means break tag. So if you observe, I have opened the tag, but I never closed the tag BR tag. Still, it is not showing any error. So which means, so in a HTML, the closing tag is optional. So for some tags and for some advanced things, the closing tag is optional. So if we use the closing tag or not, it will give the perfect output. But in XML, closing tag is mandatory. You know, XML is having the user-defined tags. So when you open an user-defined tag, for sure, you need to close the tag. Otherwise, that program will show an error. So in XML, the closing tag is mandatory, right? And next one, HTML uses predefined tags such as bold, break, and image, etc. So we all know there are some predefined tags in HTML. So B tag is used for bold the text. BR tag is used to write the text in a new line, and IMG tag is used to insert an image into the web page, etc. So along with these three tags, there are multiple number of tags which are having their own purpose. But in XML, there is no chance of predefined tags. So XML uses the user-defined tags that we create while writing the XML document. So here we create our own tags, right? That we create our own tags and we use the tags in order to write an XML document. And next one, HTML does not preserve white spaces, and XML preserves white spaces. Let us see here. Uh, Let us take this text document. For example, here you can see I have written good. I have used multiple number of spaces between good and morning. Right. I am going to save the code as 4.html. 4.html. So if you observe the output, although I have used n number of, for example, 6 or 7 number of spaces here, but still it is showing only one space. So HTML is not going to preserve the white spaces. If I used n number of white spaces, it is displaying only one white space. But if I have used the pre-tag, which means preserve white spaces, pre-tag, now it will show the correct output. So until I use the pre-tag, so you can observe the output on the left side of the screen here. So I have used, for example, I have used 7 spaces in between good and morning. Now the 7 spaces has been maintained because I have used the tag called as pre-tag, which means preserve white spaces. So if I don't use this tag, right, if I don't use this tag and save the code and make a refresh here. If I don't use the tag, even though there are a lot of spaces between good and morning, only one space is displayed on the web page, right? So that is the meaning of this point. HTML does not preserve white spaces unless and until we use the pre-tag. But in XML, if you write a text with 10 spaces without using the pre-tag or anything, because XML do not support any predefined tags, without using any special tags, all the white spaces are preserved while displaying the output of the XML, right? So these are the 7 main differences between HTML and XML. So HTML focuses on data look and XML focuses on how the data is going to be stored and transferred. HTML is not a case sensitive. XML is a case sensitive language. HTML is mainly concentrated with the presentation of data, but XML is mainly concentrated on the storing and transporting of data. HTML is static, but XML is dynamic. And in HTML, closing tag is optional. As I explained, if I use the break tag, there is no need to close the break tag, right? It is optional. But in XML, there is no such optional tags. All the tags are user defined. So you need to close each and every tag at the end. And next one, HTML uses predefined tags. So each and every tag has its own purpose. According to our need, we can make use of any of the tags. But XML uses user-defined tags. that we create while writing the XML document. Next one, HTML do not preserve white spaces, but XML preserves white spaces. In HTML, if we want to preserve the white spaces, we need to make use of the pre tag, right? We need to make use of pre tag. And let us move to the next slide. Let us see the syntax of XML. XML document must have a root element. A root element can have child elements, and we can have sub-child elements. So if you want to have a clear idea about what is root element, what is child element, what is sub-child element, so let us compare this one with HTML. So while writing the HTML code, right, while writing the HTML code, right, we start with HTML, and we start with HTML, or we use some head, right, or we close the head tag, and then we start the body tag. So under the body tag we have used the paragraph tag, and we close it the paragraph tag, and then we close it the body tag, and then we close it the HTML tag, right? So now HTML is called as root element. Don't think that it is XML. I'm explaining about root element, child element, and sub-child elements, right? So HTML is a root element, head is a child element, right? Head is a child element, body is a child element, right? Body is a child element, but P is a sub-child element because it is under body, where the body is under HTML. So P is a sub-child element, right? So this is how an XML document will have. So an XML document will be represented with a root element. So under the root element, we can have any number of childs, and under a child, we can have any number of sub-child elements. So we need to specify one root element. It is optional. Under the root element, what we have to specify, it is optional to the user, right? Next one. So we have seen this point in the differences between HTML and XML. That is, XML is a case-sensitive language. So there is lot of difference, not lot of difference. A capital letter tag is not equivalent to a small letter tag. Next one, XML prologue. Next one, all the elements in XML should be properly nested and they should not overlap. So all the elements in the XML, they should be properly nested. For example, I have a root element called as bookstore. Just a second. Bookstore. I have a root element called as bookstore, and under that one I have a book, and under that one I have a title, right? Title, name equal to something called as C programming, right? Name equal to title equal to name equal to C programming, and next one, author, right? Author. Next one, after entering the title, let us close the title tag here. Title tag. It is case sensitive. We need to use the small title because we have started the title tag with small letters. Author. After using the author, close the author tag. And after closing the author tag, close the book tag. After closing the book tag, close the bookstore tag. So here, bookstore is a root element. Bookstore is a root element where book is a child element, right? Book is a child element, and title is a sub-child element. Author is a sub-child element, right? So let us see this point. All the elements in XML should be properly nested and they should not overlap. So here, for example, uh, if I have closed, right, if I have closed something called as bookstore in front of this book, so it is called as overlapping. So bookstore is the root element. Because it is the root element, it has to be closed at the last, but it was closed before the book tag was closed. So it means these two tags got overlapped, right? So perfect nesting means the opening or the closing order should be done perfectly, right? So for example, this title tag was closed in between the opening order tag, which means these two tags got overlapped. The title tag and the order tag got overlapped because they are nested, they are not properly nested. So in order to them nested them properly, we need to write the title tag here, right? So that is the meaning of this point. All the elements in XML should be properly nested and they should not overlap. Next one, all XML documents must have a closing tag. See here, we have seen this point in the differences also. For example, uh, I have forgotten writing this point. So it is an error in XML. So each and every tag which was opened in the program, although they are all the user defined tags, they are all defined by the user, although they are defined by the user, each and every tag which was opened earlier should be closed before the end of the code or end of the XML document, and not simply closing. We need to maintain proper nesting. That's what the fourth point means, right? So we need to maintain some proper nesting and no element should overlap with each other, right? So all the XML documents must have a closing tag. Next one. Next one. I will show the example later. XML document has a tree structure. XML document has a tree structure. See here, XML elements can have attributes for or to add the extra information about the element. So see here, I have represented title space name. I have represented title space name where name is called as an attribute, right? So if I want to store some extra information regarding any tag, I can use this attribute. So we all are very familiar with these attributes. While dealing with the HTML documents, if we are using img tag, we have used src, which means source. So img tag is used to insert some image into the web page, and what is the image we want to insert in the web page. So we need to maintain the address of the image to the source attribute, right? So while we are dealing with applets, right, applets, so we have used some attributes called as code, width, height, etc. So similar to that one, in XML also allows the user to have attributes for any of the tags, right? So those attributes are used to store some extra information. So here in this example, I have used an attribute called as name, which is an attribute of title, and in the name we are going to store some extra information here, right? Next one, XML attributes must always be quoted. So we can use single or double quotes. So for example, if I have used simply like this, attribute equal to C programming, it is an error. It is an error. So in XML, if you want to use an attribute, if you want to assign a value to an attribute, that value must be inside the single quotes. That value must be inside a single quotes, or the value must be inside the double quotes. We cannot leave it openly. So the value which is assigned to, which is going to be assigned to an attribute must be quoted with a single quotes or a double quotes. Right. Next one. So we can see the disadvantages of XML in the next session. So with this, I'm going to close today's session. Right. So hope you all observed today's session. I think today's session may be a little bit boring because we have only discussed the theory part, right? And if you have any questions regarding today's session, right, you can make a comment in the comment box, right? And I really thank each and every listener of this video for being here and for listening this XML. And in the next session, we concentrate on some more important points regarding XML and the disadvantages of XML. And I thank everyone